Maybe we should start our news review with some breaking news. Lionel Messi, Argentina's football captain, has just announced that he's quitting international football.
Wow.
They've lost the Copa America
son will
final.
be gutted.
Absolutely. He was crying on the pitch as Argentina lost the Copa America final to Chile. But it's not our top story.
No.
Brexit dominating the media. OK, Wall Street Journal's Asia edition, analysing the implications not just for global markets but also international politics. It suggests there's a rise in anti-establishment politics and a retreat from globalisation.
The Financial Times, you can see here the three people there on the front page summing up the different angles, including the turmoil within UK politics. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister David Cameron, who announced his resignation, will meet European Union leaders tomorrow.
The Daily Telegraph has the financial fallout, but also how some British industries may benefit. And there's an analysis piece which calls the vote the best chance to reshape Europe's future.
Other stories in the papers today, of course, the Iraqi government, as you've been hearing, saying the city of Fallujah has been recaptured from Islamic State militants. The Iraqi Prime Minister urging all Iraqis to rejoice on the fact. That's front page of Gulf News.
In Spain, the People's Party, led by acting Prime Minister Rajoy, has won the most seats in the country's second general election in 6 months, but it still doesn't have a majority. This is also in the Wall Street Journal, in the Europe edition. Cornelia Meyer is here, CEO of the business consultancy MRL Corporation. Good morning. Cornelia.
Good morning.
We're proud to say that the BBC website is one of the best websites in the world. On Friday, the top 10 stories, most read, most watched, Brexit. What a huge result.
Oh, it was. You know, I was a Remainer.
Sure.
But now it's the next day. We have to move on, and we have to make the best of it. Isn't this? You know, carry on, just do it. But the impact, the first story here, impact on the global economy. I mean, CNBC said something like $2 trillion were wiped off global stock market. So it's a big impact, but it's not a Lehman Brothers-like impact. It's an impact. It will impact certainly our economy. We have seen that we will have a recession. Goldman Sachs said so. I'm pretty certain your previous guest said so. Pretty certain we'll go into a technical recession. It will impact Europe. It will be bad for the economy, but it can be worked through. It will be messy, and it's a huge uncertainty over this country is in terms of, as a business, what can you do? It's just too much.
Quite interesting, though, because I think this article kind of catches the point, this article in the Wall Street Journal that we're looking at, that actually this result shows that people are not looking at the economics.
Yeah,
the majority
absolutely.
In this case. They were picking sovereignty and nationalism, it says, over
globalisation,
economic outcomes. And it's interesting, you know, obviously I speak to a lot of economists, I speak to a lot of financial traders, anyone in that world, but I can imagine people watching us in the north of England or in Wales think, well, actually, if the earnings come down in London, if house prices come down in London, you know, if their lifestyle changes a bit, well, welcome to my world.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think that, but some of them haven't really thought this through, like the Welsh haven't thought this through, because nobody gets more subsidies. You know, where will they go without the EU subsidies? But I think it is this general dissatisfaction with the elite, which is what is perceived to be the establishment that's going on here. And I think the Out campaign was very good on going on emotion and having positive emotion, take back control. The In campaign used the economic arguments, but they scared people. British people don't like to be scared. So people went with the positive emotion because the facts were just too intricate for your average person to deal with.
And also the facts were often not factual.
Oh, absolutely. But the Out campaign was brilliant at distorting the facts. Like, you know, saying...
Both sides.
Both sides, yeah. But saying, to be honest, both sides, but, you know, saying that we are paying 18 billion when really we only are paying about 9 billion, you know, when you get the rebates back and the subsidies back. So there was a lot of, yeah, both sides were very good at fudging numbers.
OK, the internal, we'll come back to European politics in a moment. Let's look at internal British politics, because the feeling seems to be that this is now a lurch to the right, because those on the right of the Conservative Party were very much for leave, and they have won. David Cameron stepping down as Prime Minister. That party needs a new leader. Maybe Labour will soon as well. So British politics has changed as well.
You know, there's something I've never seen before. I have seen British politics having either Labour in disarray and the Conservatives gaining on it, or the Conservatives in disarray and Labour making gain for it. This time we have both parties in disarray, and it's actually a time when we need leadership. You know, you see that there is going to be quite a bit of fallout in the Conservative Party from what happened. Well, the Prime Minister stepped down; you can't have much more fallout. And in Labour, there was with the firing of Hilary Benn, the shadow Foreign Secretary, there was a fallout. But both parties are in disarray.
I know, which does not bode well, does it?
Okay, so what about European politics? And this article in The Telegraph that said it's a chance to reshape Europe's future. The fear amongst the 27 remaining members is contagion, that other countries will want to exit as well. And I thought it was very interesting that the President of the European Parliament effectively said, we need to punish the United Kingdom to make an example to other countries that may want to come out.
And I'm with him, because he needs to make a statement to make sure that people understand there's a cost to exiting. Also, they have protracted negotiations with the Swiss, who had reneged also in a referendum on the free movement of labour. So they have other marginal negotiations. So I can understand where he's coming from. He needs to make a stance. For Europe itself, it's sad that Britain is out, but especially the Germans are deploring it, because Britain was one of the good influences in terms of free market, free enterprise, having a positive influence there. So the European Union will not be the same, and they will have to find a new balance. Look at the Dutch and the French, with Marine Le Pen and the Dutch, who come out and say, well, now that Britons can, exactly. Now that Britons can, we can too. So they need to move swiftly.
But in the meantime, while we're talking about the politics in Europe, in Spain, Mariano Rajoy got more votes. He hasn't got enough to have a clear majority, but still, it was not everybody piling into Podemos or alternatives.
I was actually very surprised, because you had the two sort of anti-austerity parties merging in order to go for this, to do well. And I thought with Brexit they would do extremely well. They didn't do that well. But the thing is, he still doesn't have enough seats. What is he going to do? Who is he going to align himself with to have a majority? Is he going to have a minority government?
Well, exactly. Well, what are the advantages to economically challenged countries like Portugal, Italy, Spain of being members of the European Union? Because what we see from the outside is the EU says austerity, 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 and only then can we do business.
Well, but if you see it, how much money these economically challenged countries have received from the European Union over the last 4 decades, you have to say you wouldn't have
pretty decent interest rates.
I've just come back from Portugal. I was on a business trip to Portugal. If you look at those wonderful roads and so on, all nicely paid for by the EU, so those countries have benefited. They have lived beyond their means, but they have benefited.
Sure, and I didn't even mention Greece. Okay, finally.
A final word on Fallujah, Cornelia. Fully liberated, so says the government there.
Yeah, fully liberated, which is great, but the human toll, the people who are suffering. And with ISIS, it's an asymmetric war. You win here and there's a vacuum somewhere else, they will go there. It's just, I think this is so much more important a story than Brexit, because people are dying day after day in the Middle East, and we seem to be powerless to do anything against it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Eventually we may not be part of the EU, but hopefully we'll all still have a roof over our heads here in the United Kingdom.
Cornelia, and look at what happens. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.